The town didn't know what to do with the truth. For weeks, everyone had believed Danny Vance was a murderer. They told each other it made sense. Of course it was someone from the harbor. Of course it was someone with a record. Of course it was someone they'd always suspected was trouble. Now they had to believe something different. The real culprit wasn't the rough man from the slums. It was the quiet tech worker who'd lived among them for 20 years. The helpful, polite, forgettable man who'd attended their fundraisers and nodded at them in the grocery store. Some people refused to accept it. There must be a mistake, they said. Pierre Aberdeen, he seemed so normal. That was the point. He'd seemed normal because he'd designed himself to seem normal. He'd built a mask, the same way he'd built his back door, carefully, invisibly, for years. Others went the opposite direction. They remembered things. The time Aberdeen had been at that same party as the victim, the way he'd looked at someone once. The story someone's cousin told about something that now seemed significant. Memory was flexible. People saw what they wanted to see. Burke and I sat on the bench by the harbor, watching the boats come in. It had been 2 weeks since the arrest. Aberdeen was in holding, awaiting trial. His lawyers were already filing motions, challenging the evidence, claiming entrapment. It would take months, maybe years, to work through the system, but he was contained for now. "I've been doing this job for 30 years, Burke said. Thought I'd seen everything. Turns out I hadn't seen the thing that was right in front of me. Nobody saw it. That's how he survived so long. I saw pieces of it. 20 years ago, when Emma died, I looked at everyone connected to the companies. Aberdeen's name was in the files somewhere. I just didn't look closely enough. I watched a fishing boat round the breakwater. The captain waved at someone on the dock. You couldn't have known, I said. Maybe not. Burke took a breath. But I should have kept looking, should have questioned the easy answers, should have pushed harder. You did what you could with what you had. That's what I told myself for 20 years. He looked at me. It wasn't enough. It brought us here. Burke was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed, a tired, genuine sound. You know what? You're right. All that failure, all those dead ends, they led to you coming back, to you pushing when I would have stopped, to this. He gestured at the harbor, the boats, the island waking up to a new truth. I spent 20 years feeling guilty about Emma. Maybe it's time to let some of that go. Maybe. We sat in silence for a while. The afternoon light was soft, golden, the kind of light that made everything look gentler than it was. What happens now? Burke asked. The trial, investigation into his connections. We still don't know who actually held the knife. You think we'll find out? I think we have to try. That evening, I went to the cemetery. Emma's grave was in the older section, near the back, where the stones were weathered and the grass grew wild. I'd been here before many times, but this was different. I had answers now, not all of them, not the ones that would bring her back or undo what had been done. But enough. I knew who had watched her. I knew who had decided she was a threat. I knew how the system had been built and why she had to die for finding it. I knelt by the headstone and brushed away the leaves that had gathered at its base. I found him, I said quietly. The man who did this. He's in jail now. He's going to face what he did. The stone didn't answer. The wind moved through the trees. It doesn't feel like enough. I thought, when I finally knew who killed you, I thought it would feel like closure, like I'd finally be able to let go. I touched the carved letters of her name. But I don't feel that. I just feel tired. I sat back on my heels. Mom's buried over there. Dad's on the mainland now. You probably don't know that. He moved after Mom died. Couldn't stand being here anymore. I paused. I came back because I couldn't stand being anywhere else. The cemetery was quiet, peaceful, in the way only places of death can be. I'm going to keep going, I said. Keep digging. Aberdeen didn't do this alone. There are still people out there who helped him, who held the knife, who took money to look the other way. I'm going to find them. I stood and looked down at the grave. I don't know if that's what you'd want. You were always the one who said I pushed too hard, worried too much, couldn't let things go. I smiled slightly. But you also knew that's who I am, and I can't change that, not even for you. I touched the headstone one more time. I love you, Emma. I'm sorry it took so long. Then I walked away, back toward the harbor, back toward the work that was waiting. Not peace, not closure, but something like purpose.